This is 5 on your side at 4. Focused on you.
As we go on the air at 4, we are in a weather alert. This is a live look over downtown St. Louis. It's been a cloudy day, and some parts of our area even saw a few thunderstorms this afternoon, and the threat isn't over yet. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Kay Quinn.
And I'm Brent Solomon. We are expecting another round of thunderstorms later tonight, and some could be severe. Let's get right over to meteorologist Gary Frank with a look at the weather first forecast. Hey, Gary.
Yeah, it's been quiet for the most part, right? We had a couple of severe thunderstorms last night, gusts of 60 miles an hour, and they were a little bit more isolated. I think tonight we'll see maybe more of a widespread line of storms, but it's not right there at the moment. It's cloudy. The sun's trying to break out. I want to look off to the west right now. We are still hours away from this threat, so I think the rest of the evening it's pretty quiet. But look at 95 on the other side of the state. We're at 85 because we've been more cloudy. We've dealt with off and on showers, and you know that is where the front is starting to work its way through. In fact, we'll look at a different view of this. A few of those showers that have been off and on, like I mentioned, from Phelps County to Farmington, that's where we had those 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts yesterday. It's quiet, and we're not going to see any issue the rest of this evening. However, I want to look at, you can start to see this moving through Ottawa. This is where the front is, and that's going to be a focal point for development as it crosses the state line there. That's where we're under a slight risk for severe weather. That stretches into Herman, Phelps County, Gasconade County, parts of Franklin County as well. And that's where I think the best opportunity for severe weather is. Category 1 in the city, but it really has to do with the timing. So here's what we can expect. It's not going to be till about 10 o'clock that this goes from west to east as this cold front arrives late tonight. We'll see more of those storms that continue to develop over the next couple of hours, and so you'll start to see that line. 40 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts, kind of what we had yesterday, but higher wind threat will be southwest. We'll pinpoint the specific areas that I'm targeting for that severe weather and also a nicer next few days ahead.
All right, we'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you, Gary. In University City, crews are still picking up the pieces after storms hit the area back in July. Today, the city announced the cleanup is 95% finished. Most of the 3rd Ward cleanup is complete. Crews will spend the rest of the week in the 1st and 2nd wards. One neighbor says the debris made areas like Miller Park unsafe.
That's what hurts the most, is the animals and then the people and older people who come and walk, and it truthfully wasn't safe.
Crews will begin cleaning up storm debris from the city parks after they finish work in the wards. 5 on Your Side's Diamond Palmer has more on this story coming up on 5 on Your Side at 5 and 6. Stay up to date with the very latest Weather First forecasts. Just text the word weather to 314-425-5355.
Well, there are some new safety procedures in place at Alton High School, nearly a week after a series of fights broke out. The fights led to classes being canceled and the school now moving students to remote learning. But 5 on Your Side's Mercedes McKay following this story from the beginning. She joins us now with the very latest. Mercedes.
Brent, today was the 2nd day of remote learning for Alton High School students. Tomorrow, they'll be back in class, but with new safety measures in place. Like you mentioned, this is all because of multiple fights that happened last Wednesday, but many parents tell me this isn't anything new. Here are just some of the changes students will notice when they head back to the classroom tomorrow. A total of 5 metal detectors will be spread out by the front entrance and the gym entrance. Now, this is something the district was already going to implement later this month, but is now starting early as an extra layer of protection. There will also be increased presence of law enforcement and administrative staff at the school. Today, one parent told me when the fights broke out last Wednesday, her daughter texted her that she felt unsafe, even describing that day like, quote, war.
At this point, I can't even describe the feeling that came over me when I ran to my vehicle to go get my child, because it's like nobody wants to see war come across the phone when they're talking to their child and their child is describing their day at high school. Unacceptable.
Some other changes include students not having access to wide open areas of the school, as well as cracking down on phone use. So now if students are recording something like a fight on their phone that happened last week, their phone privileges could be taken away.
All right, thank you, Mercedes. Police are investigating a double shooting in North St. Louis in front of a YMCA. It happened just before midnight at the intersection of Page Boulevard and Belt Avenue. Police say a 28-year-old man was shot in the torso. An 18-year-old woman was shot in the arm. The man died there. The woman was taken to a hospital and is expected to be okay. Police didn't release their names or any information about possible suspects.
This afternoon, a man is dead after a crash this morning on the eastbound I-70 ramp to northbound Interstate 170 ramp. The ramp was shut down briefly while crews cleared the scene. According to the crash report, a man from South Carolina, believed to be in his 70s, was driving when he ran off the road through a ditch and hit a tree. He died at the hospital.
Phone lines are back up and running at some Illinois hospitals. HSHS Hospital suffered a cyber attack last week that shut down phone and internet connections. 4 of those hospitals are in the St. Louis area, including St. Elizabeth's and O'Fallon. While phones are back online, there still may be some connectivity issues. Patient billing is still suspended for a time. Any patients who had their personal information stolen during the attack will be notified.
Congress facing a potential shutdown while the president faces an impeachment inquiry. All of this as campaigning is in full swing for the fall. NBC's Alice Barr has more from Washington.
With August recess over, senators are returning to a packed September schedule. Lawmakers are deadlocked over disaster relief funding and providing more aid to Ukraine, all leading up to the September 30th deadline to prevent a government shutdown. Right-wing Republican House members bent on steep spending cuts are rebelling against a short-term extension to buy more time for negotiations. Leaders in both parties promising to act.
Democrats and Republicans all must get on the same page about keeping the government open.
But for some House conservatives, the top priority remains investigations into President Biden and his son Hunter's business dealings. Though House Republicans have not produced evidence of wrongdoing by the president, at least one hard-right member says she won't vote to fund the government until the House votes to begin a Biden impeachment inquiry. For his part, President Biden sharpening his attacks against his predecessor and 2024 rival, former President Trump.
The great real estate builder, the last guy here, he didn't build a damn thing.
A new Wall Street Journal poll has the pair in a dead heat in a head-to-head matchup, while the former president is up 46 points over his nearest Republican rival, as other candidates campaign to make a dent in that lead.
We've got to think about leadership that's not distracted because we've got so many issues facing our country.
Mr. Trump is choosing to skip tomorrow's initial court appearance in the Georgia election interference case while pleading not guilty and fundraising off his latest legal fight. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Fixing supply chains, fighting corporate greed.
President Biden is releasing a new campaign ad ahead of the 2024 elections. Depending on where you are, you may catch it during the NFL season kickoff on Thursday. The 30-second ad focuses on the president's economic policy and mentions Biden's efforts towards fixing supply chains, fighting corporate greed, and more. According to a recent poll by the Wall Street Journal, only about 37% of those surveyed approve of his handling of the economy.
First Lady Jill Biden tested positive for COVID-19. A spokesperson says she's only experiencing mild symptoms, but will remain in her family's home in Delaware for the time being. According to the White House, President Biden tested negative, but he will continue testing at regular intervals this week. This all comes after yesterday's trip to Pennsylvania for Labor Day.